Whew. Okay. It's cold in here today. Okay. G'day everyone. My name's Charles Terrier and welcome to the Stubborn Optimist. I guess welcome to week one, I should say. Like I said in the introduction video, we're going to kind of go week by week by week with different topics. And, you know, I've sort of spent the last, I suppose, week or few days, you know, really pondering what do I want to start off with. There's so much to cover, so many different things. And I think, you know, after sort of talking to my partner and my family about it and everything, what I think is important to start with is relationships. So, oh my God, what does that mean? Relationships. Do you mean romantic relationships? I mean everything. I mean, yes, romantic relationships, familial relationships, friendships, the relationship you have with yourself. And really, that's where I want to start. It is, you know, my opinion that I've kind of formulated again over the years, so take it or leave it. But, you know, that in order to have the relationship that you desire, that relationship, whether it be the person you get married to, or that relationship that you want, you know, that ideal kind of version that you have in the back of your head or your heart, let's say. That's really where love comes from, isn't it? Besides all the chemicals involved of oxytocin. In order to have that kind of relationship, you have to have a positive, deep connection and understanding of yourself, and you have to have a good relationship with yourself. Now, what does that mean? It means that yes, you can still have healthy, productive, fulfilling relationships if you're not, you know, in a great place within yourself and everything. But if you break it down, there might be ulterior motives, there might be other motivations. You might be seeking fulfillment from your partner or from that other person. You know, you might be trying to find, you know, you might be trying to replicate a parental figure in a romantic partner, or you might be trying to prove something to a parent, or you might be selling yourself short or selling yourself out to always get your friends' approval, whatever it is. In order to have the relationships that you desire, you have to love and appreciate yourself first and know your value and your worth. This is something that I've spent many a years experiencing, researching through trial and error in my own life, you know, inadvertently learning more and more and more through positive and negative experience, what's good for me, what's bad for me, what I was missing, what I wanted, why I wanted it, why I didn't want it. And I've made many, many mistakes, and I've done things that I regret, and I've, you know, had to look at that and accept that and learn from that and find the positives in the negative. You know, that's where that stubborn optimist ideal comes in again. And so, again, to sort of break that down a little bit further and use an example, you know, it was looking in my own life and you know, some suggested reading, I guess, for this week's, you know, series, and for whenever you want to sort of go down this path, if you do, I would say Daring Greatly by Brené Brown and Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown are two examples. Really, all her work is fantastic because it's dealing with vulnerability and scarcity and these sorts of things. And then, you know, when you want to look specifically at, say, romantic relationships or relationships with the other sex, A Man's Guide to Understanding Women was really great for me. I've got no problem saying that because, you know, I thought I understood women quite well, and to some degree, you know, I did. But just to read that book and gain a broader understanding and a better understanding, and realize certain things, like it's not my responsibility to, as much as I want to fix their problems, to do so. It's to listen and to be there and to support, because quite often they know what they want and what they need, and they don't need someone to tell them that. But Further to that point, that's another good example. Really sort of, I take key learnings from, say, relationship experts. I say relationship because I think there's people out there that really do it because they're good at it and they believe it and that's their job, and there's people that kind of profit of it, and that's okay. It's just, I take everything with a grain of salt. But I prefer to look at the underlying sort of issues, and that's what I find Brené Brown does, which is, we're talking about fear, we're talking about scarcity and vulnerability. Now, relationships are in many respects the peak level of that. You are being vulnerable with another person. In the case of romantic relationships especially, you are exposing yourself to another person, and I guess putting your heart on the line, your feelings on the line, hoping that will be reciprocated, and then finding someone that you can truly be yourself with, and that will accept that, and that you can also accept them. I mean, that's the bond you're looking for. And I think a lot of people come from a place of fear and scarcity, in that they go, I don't want to be alone. I've been there myself, absolutely. And I don't want to be alone, or I don't know how to be alone. The fear of being alone is paralyzing because, what do I do? How do I love myself? I don't know how to love myself, so I've got to have someone else help me do it, or do it for me. And then I can just put all my attention onto them, and I don't actually have to deal with any of the issues or the problems that I'm having in myself and my self-worth, and so, we kind of push these feelings of inadequacy and vulnerability and fear and scarcity and all these things down, and try to, externalize them by, just putting it onto someone else and going, you will help me be better. And you see really good examples of that, and I had that myself, when I sort of realized a relationship will not fulfill you. What I mean by that is, it can tick a lot of boxes, it can tick all the boxes, let's say, it can be super healthy and everything, but you will not be the person you want to be, or all your problems will not be solved by having a relationship, by having someone love you. All that will do is, kind of cloud all the other problems, and eventually that fog will clear and you'll go, oh, I've got a relationship, that makes me happy, I'm really happy. But fuck, pardon my language, but fuck, I've got all these other problems. I don't love myself, I'm not pursuing the career I want, I'm not doing the things I want to do, I don't have any direction in life, I'm afraid of this and this and this and this and this. What happens if I fail? What happens if I succeed? These are the problems that come to light, when you tick a relationship box. Rather than being overwhelmed by, oh my God, I don't have any of these things, you're suddenly doing that. And to the same merit, people that avoid relationships, and go, oh, I don't want that, I don't want to be vulnerable, I can't be with someone because of X, Y, and Z, are looking at things like, I can control this, I can control my career, I can control what I do, my goals, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. I can, if I can tick all these boxes, then, I'll be able to have a successful relationship because I won't have to worry about this side and I'll just be able to focus on that. Each to their own. I don't believe that that's the way to go about it. To me, it is really starting from yourself. And it is asking the hard questions. It is sitting down with yourself, and however you do that, whether it's through reading and then thinking, or writing, journaling is a great way to do it, whether it be every morning or, whenever you're feeling the need to write things down, to get it out. I talk to myself a lot. Sounds, we all do it, but, it always sounds a little bit crazy to say out loud. I talk to myself a lot because the thoughts are one thing, but when you actually externalize them and say them out loud, you realize how much power they have, whether that's actually true or not, whether you actually believe that, or whether you're just kind of caught up in, say, a victimhood mentality or a scarcity mentality, or these sorts of things. And you will find that majority of the time they're just fears that haven't been articulated. And the moment you kind of say them, you can kind of start to acknowledge them and work through them. But it really does start from the self. So whether it be there are key moments in your life, be traumatic, they're most likely traumatic, that have kind of shown you or stick out in your mind as going, I remember this thing happened and that made me feel like I wasn't worthy of love, or that I wasn't worthy of being accepted or validated, or no one wants me or no one loves me because I'm unlovable, or someone told me I was weird when I was 4 and I've never forgotten it, and now I just subconsciously, I'm now realizing on a conscious level that I've been holding on to that for years. And so anytime anyone's gotten close to me, I've defaulted back to, no, I'm weird, you can't understand me, you don't want me, you're just going to hurt me later because I'm so weird. So, fair enough. And there are legitimate traumatic reasons that this happens. There are, we all have things. I have things, that have happened to me and that happened to all of us, that despite our best efforts will work in the background in a subconscious level. And whether you have great parents or you have bad parents, or you have a good parent or a bad parent, or you have no parents, it's despite whoever has raised you, even if you've raised yourself, you've done the best you can. They've done the best they can. Okay? Even if they didn't do right by you, it's hard to accept that, because it means going, okay, I forgive them, and by forgiving them, I open myself up to healing. But it doesn't serve you to hold on to that hate and to internalize that hate any longer. It just hurts you. It doesn't hurt them, okay? They might not even know you're feeling that way. Or if they do know, okay, yes, it might hurt them, but it's only going to hurt you more. No one wins. It doesn't benefit you to internalize your anger to the point that it affects you physically and mentally, and it doesn't help you to lash out at people because you can't deal with what's going on in yourself. So we are again stripping it back to the self relationship. Why do I not love myself? Why do I not accept myself? Why, oh God, there's a lot to bring up too. Why do I not appreciate who I am? What is wrong with me? Or what do I think? Because that's all it is. There's nothing actually wrong with you. You just think there's something wrong with you. So what do I think is wrong with me that I keep putting myself in these situations, or that I don't put myself in these situations? You might be an avoidant type. We talk about attachment theories, and they're formulated from a very early age. And I think I would have to go back, and I'll do a more in-depth series on this, because I'm very aware, we could talk about this for hours, and I don't want to make it hours. It's not fair on you. It's a lot to talk about, but we will circle back to these things over time and do more in-depth episodes, and so on and so on and so on. But, in the meantime, attachment theory, there's actually a great book too. It's called the Attachment Theory Workbook. I can't remember the author off the top of my head, but he talks about, I think there's five main attachment theories. Avoidant, healthy or stable, secure types, anxious types, these sorts of things. And you can kind of go through this workbook and you can identify for yourself which one you are, or you might be more than one, you might be two. That's quite common. And that might actually help give you a framework from which to kind of reverse engineer to understand what your key issues are, what the things are that you want to work on, and why you want to work on them. But the key is, again, to start with the hard questions, honor yourself by going, it sounds a bit wanky, honor yourself, but honor yourself by acknowledging that you're on this journey to be the person you want to be and improve yourself. And you don't want to stay at the level you are, refusing to change and choosing, to just go, nah, this is how I am, is one, ignorant, two, naive, and three, I think is a gross injustice to yourself and the people you have in your life. If you really care about the people you have in your life and you really care about yourself, then you owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself you can be. I don't think that's unreasonable to say at all. I think, I remember a number of years ago, I was kind of thinking about this idea. Someone once said to me, you're born perfect. And I went, right, what does that mean? I kind of thought about it and I went, okay, you're born perfect because, as a baby, regardless of whether you have health issues or not, you're born perfect. You come into the world, you have no preconceived notions, no preconceived ideas of race, sex, gender, that is sex, sorry, orientation, sexual orientation, class, all these sorts of things. You don't have any of that. You're just a baby, okay? And you as you kind of grow up, you start to become a product of your environment and a product of your upbringing. Your parents rub off on you, your schoolyard rubs off on you, your environment, the place you grow up in rubs off on you. And you start to formulate your own ideas. Like they say, it's very hard to have an original thought in today's society, and that's very true. I think we are by nature curious creatures and we seek out information. And so by kind of churning up and kind of, consuming all this information, we start to develop our own belief system. And maybe we come to a point in our lives where we realize, that's not who I am and not what I want at all. Maybe we accept that entirely and we never really question it. Maybe we really wrestle against it, and some things we keep, some things we change. It just depends. It's individual to everyone. But the point that I'm getting at there is going, and I have to formulate this quickly in my head, but I view it like a circle, right? So we're born here and we die here. So it goes like that. Okay, so you're born perfect, and then you kind of go out on your life and you experience all these things, and you kind of go through traumas and great relationships, and maybe this is where your midlife crisis is, let's say. But the whole entire journey of your life to get back to this point is to try and get back to who you were when you were born. But now you have an entire life and an entire wealth of experience from which to pull on. But that quest is to become, perfect again. Now, when I say perfect, it's not perfect. You're perfectly imperfect. You're imperfectly perfect, You are you. So I don't want you to be like, oh, this is the gauge of where I have to get to. I'm here and I need to get to here. It's not that. By perfect, I mean you're just trying to get back to who you were when you were born, which is the person, that was a blank slate. But this time you have a wealth of experience, but you're still willing to go, I'm open to new things. I'm open to growing. Even if I die tomorrow, I'm open to growing, to changing, to love, to life, to meeting new people, to having new experiences. I'm not closed-minded. I'm not bigoted in any way. I'm not, going, this is the only way to do something. And if you believe, different, you're wrong. I'm not subjugating anyone else with my belief system. We accept the love we think we deserve. Now, I'm sure we've all heard this before, or, if you haven't, you're hearing it now. But what does that mean? We accept the love we think we deserve. Basically, at our core, the belief and the self-worth that we have for ourselves, the level to which we value ourselves, can be directly reflected in the types of relationships that we have. So if I love myself, and if I honor myself and I take care of myself, honor sounds a bit wanky, but if I truly love and value the person that I am and respect myself enough, then that will be reflected in the people that I choose to have in my life in terms of romantic partners, family relationships, and friendships. Just like if I strive to be more and I strive to be better, I will surround myself with people that will push me to be better and support me in those endeavors. So conversely, if I don't appreciate myself, if I don't love myself, if I don't feel that I am worthy of love, or that there is something wrong with me and I don't validate myself and feel that I am worthy of being loved, then that will be reflected in the relationships I have. Again, romantic, familial, friendships. You might put yourself in a position where you are used, manipulated, abused. Basically, you feel that you need to go above and beyond for others, but they do not need to do the same for you. That you need to prove your worth to someone in order to have them stay in your life, because you are only worthy of love when you are providing someone with a service or value. That you as yourself, and you as you, me as me, are not worthy of love just by being who we are, just as our authentic, true, honest selves. The moment you go on social media or anything, or you watch the news, or you talk to people, you talk to your friends, your family, all this sort of stuff, and you start to pick up on the way they talk about things, if they talk about things in a very positive way, in a very negative way, you start to realize people that come from that negative place, one, they're one of those people, but two, they're zapping your energy. They're taking it from you. Is that relationship helping you? If so, why? Why not? If not, why are you sticking around? I'm not saying that you just cut people out of your life unnecessarily. The process of growth means that you will lose people along the way. They will lose you. You will lose them. Maybe they outgrow you. Maybe you outgrow them. Maybe you just grow apart. It's okay. But if you're noticing that people are leaving your life en masse, and you're feeling like, how dare they, and you're going, this isn't fair on me and all this sort of stuff, I would break it down and go, is there something I'm doing, or is there something in my behavior that's causing these people to not want to talk to me or reach out to me? I'm not saying it's your fault, but maybe you're in a place at the time where you were perpetuating a very negative kind of mindset, a victimhood type mentality. And conversely on that too, again, you might be in a really good place and you might be really, really happy, and you'll know that for yourself. You'll be able to catch yourself and check your own ego and go, oh, okay, yeah, I've been a bit of a dickhead these past few months. But you might also be able to go, oh, I'm actually in a really good place at the moment. I'm in a really healthy mindset at the moment. I'm really proud of myself, and these people leaving my life, toxic people from my past, whether they be narcissists or they just be people that you no longer identify with, that you no longer want to have a relationship with. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that your views and your ideals and your emotional kind of states, as well as and your emotional intelligence, no longer align. And that doesn't mean they're gone forever. You could circle around. They could have a change of heart. You could have a change of heart, etc. But scarcity, again going back to what Brene Brown said, causes us to stay in things, stay in relationships, stay in patterns of behavior for longer periods of time than we actually want to and need to. We are afraid to move on because we don't know what's on the other side, because we are afraid of the unknown. And so because we are afraid of the unknown, we stay the same. And, we refuse to grow and change. And there's a very famous rabbi that has this metaphor, if you will, where he talks about, a lobster, is technically, it's immortal. Providing it doesn't, get mortally wounded, it can live forever. It will just keep regenerating and regenerating and regenerating. And he talks about, the lobster, it grows out of its shell, it has to shed its shell, and then it has to, grow its new one. And so what happens is, as it grows, it has to, it gets too big for that shell. So it sheds that shell, because otherwise it's straining against it. It feels uncomfortable. The process of growth, like with this lobster, is uncomfortable. You are changing your behavior. You are changing your patterns of behavior, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you respond to something. Maybe you used to lash out. Now you're catching yourself. You're not lashing out, but you want to, and so it feels like you're not speaking up for yourself, and you're like, and then you realize it's not worth it. It's not changing them, okay, the way you're lashing out. It's just, hurting you, because they're just going to snap back at you, okay? So like that lobster, it's straining and straining and straining until eventually it breaks out of that shell, and now it is new again. It is vulnerable. It is soft. It is able to be hurt. Okay, suddenly it goes from being this indestructible creature to this kind of, like a newborn child again. You're back in the world with these new beliefs that you are still forming, and you're still figuring it out. And you're still trying to figure out, who am I? How do I feel about this? What happens if someone tries and hurts me? And they might, not intentionally. It's just things happen in life. Shit happens. And you kind of, again, you have to catch yourself, and you have to address these things for yourself, and you have to go, okay, I am committed to being the best version of me I can be, so I have to weather the storm until I grow into my new shell. And so over time, these new beliefs, these new feelings, these new emotions you have, they'll start to settle in. And you'll start to think, wow, I remember the person I don't identify with that person anymore. I don't see how I used to think that way or act that way. And then you eventually grow into that. That shell hardens, You're now this newly formed person. And now you can understand the old person, but you go, but that's not me anymore. And then again, that process happens again and again and again, like the lobster, and you keep growing and changing. And key events in your life will bring this up. Key choices in your life will bring this up. But again, it's all coming back to, I need to love myself first. I need to be at one and happy with the person I am at my core. And I need to, be willing to admit when I'm right and stand up for myself. And I need to be willing to admit when I'm wrong and admit that to the people I care about. This is not about becoming the perfect person so that you're always right and everyone else is wrong, okay? If you want to have that healthy, fulfilling relationship with your family, with your friends, with a romantic partner, it starts by going, I'm going down this path to become my authentic self. And when you get there, it's going, this is who I am. I'm open to change if it comes, but I'm not going to change myself for another person just because they don't like who I am and who I'm proud to be. Now that's big. That's a lot. We do that all the time. We change ourselves all the time for people. We don't even mean to sometimes. We just, okay, they feel like this and I feel like this. Well, okay, it's easier for me to change to make them happy than it is because they're doing their best, Some people will do it, some people won't. And some people will expect you to change for them, but they won't expect, but they won't expect themselves to change for you. And maybe you're that person, maybe you're the other person. It's okay either way. We talk about relationships are about compromise. Yes, they're about compromise. But when people say, okay, let's just agree to disagree. No. Agreeing to disagree is not a compromise. Agreeing to disagree doesn't address the issue. It's just, if you're both trying to, fight for something and you agree to disagree, well, okay, great. You're still both here. You actually haven't settled anything. You haven't come to any understanding. Neither of you have accepted the other's perspectives. You've just gone, okay, well, you feel like that and I feel like that, but it's not good. A compromise is about meeting in the middle, okay? Maybe that means, okay, well, you feel much more strongly about this than I do, so I'm willing to come over here, and then when, I feel much strongly about this than you do, okay, and this person goes, well, I'm willing to come over here. That's a compromise, etc. But agreeing to disagree is not. And outwardly refusing because you don't want to lose face or you don't want to be the one giving anything up, well, you need to go and do some work on yourself in the nicest way possible. You know, there are some great analogies out there, you know, like my friend Dylan made this great point to me once. He said a relationship works best when both parties think they're putting in 60%. So, you know, they think they're putting in 60% and they think they're putting in 60%. So both people are going out and trying to do everything they can to make the other person happy. So when they have a disagreement, if they do, they go, well, I'm doing it, and they go, well, I'm doing it, and they go, okay, yeah, no, thanks, you know. But a relationship that doesn't start on an even footing, where both people are loving and, you know, acknowledging and supporting each other evenly, 50%, if it doesn't start on that level, it will never get there. If it starts, you know, 70-30 over here, well, the person that's giving more will eventually tire out. And when they want to move back to 50-50 or even 60, and they want to go, hey, I need something, this person over here is going to go, whoa, that's not the way we do things. No, this is 50-50 to them. And you can say, oh no, this is 70-30. They go, no, this is 50-50. So you only get what you put in, but you've got to make sure that what's being put in on the other side is worthy of you. You've got to have that understanding and that belief in your own self-worth, so that if someone is disrespecting you, you're able to confront that situation and either remedy it or remove yourself from it. And sometimes remedying the situation is removing yourself from it. And when I say confront the situation, I don't mean you have an argument and it turns to an ugly stoush. I just mean that you can confront it from a place in yourself and go, okay, this is actually what's happening. You can do this on your own. Okay, this is actually what's happening. I need to accept this. I need to understand this. It might be really upsetting and really, really scary. But this is what's happening. Okay. What do I want to do about it? And you might wrestle with it back and forth. You might talk to your family and your friends. Go to the people whose opinions you truly value and treasure. Don't go to, you know, all the other people and get everyone's opinion and be like, okay, it's, you know, like decision by committee. 43 of you say this and 27 of you say that. Don't do that. If it's your mum and your best friend, you know, do that. Do all that, and then once you've decided what, if it's your dad, sorry, and, you know, I don't know, your sister, great. If it's your dog, and you just really need to talk it out loud, and your dog's like, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you make a good point, Spots. That's a dog name now. Anyway, the point is you can do that so that when you come to a decision, you're not now like, I've made my decision and that is that and you cannot change me. Unless the situation is dangerous for you physically, or, you know, if it's abusive, absolutely stick to your guns. But if it's something where you've now made a decision, go to the other person that's doing it, inform them, listen to their point of view, and understand, okay, are they trying to, you know, manipulate me or try and get me to change my point of view, or are they actually just articulating how they feel, and now we're on sort of an even keel where we both understand we were coming from different places and different understandings, and now we can work together to, you know, go forward or go our separate ways, you know, like we never just go, okay, yeah, you know, this isn't really working out anymore, let's just go our separate ways. I love you, yeah, cool, thanks. You know, we kind of go, all right, let me just hang around until I resent you and you resent me, and then we can fucking end this thing violently. You know, we, as much as we can be very emotionally mature, sometimes we think we're so far and away, you know, I'm so in tune with everything. You're not. It's arrogance, it's ego, and that's okay. But 9 times out of 10, that leads to a pretty savage, violent sort of ending. And it's maybe something at the time that you're kind of thriving on. Maybe you want that kind of injustice. Maybe you need the fight. You need to be hurt. In which case you need to look at why you need to be hurt or feel like a victim. What has happened? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. People will say that's bad. Yeah, sure. It's not. It's just you've had a series of events or experiences in your life that have affected you in a very deeply profound way, maybe traumatic, maybe positive, maybe negative, and they've given you a sense of beliefs. And you've also inherited some of those through your childhood and through your upbringing, through environment and family and friends, etc. And suddenly you realize, I don't want to be this. I don't want to do that. I don't like the person I am. I don't feel like I'm worthy of something that I really, really want. And I want to be worthy of that, and I want to have that. So I'm willing to confront the person I want to be and learn and grow and change myself for the better. Because at the end of the day, this is my life. It's my life. I have a desire to live that the way I want. I want to be proud of myself on the day I die, not filled with regret and resentment and pain and sorrow and sadness. It's a terrifying thing, death, and we'll talk about it in time. And if you've experienced it, if you've been around it growing up, it's scary, and rightfully so. And I know it sounds a little bit optimistic to kind of go, it doesn't have to be scary, but it doesn't have to be if you live your life to the fullest. And that doesn't mean, all those versions of YOLO and social media kind of, let's jump off a plane or something. If that's something you want to do, great. It just means living your life authentically to the levels that you want to, and going after the things you want. The people you want, the relationships you want, the career you want, the lifestyle you want. Do it for you. If you love yourself first, and you can go after what you want first, you will put yourself in a much better position going forward than if you do it for someone else. And if you, pursue a relationship, or you pursue something within a relationship because it makes that person happy, or I just don't want to be alone and I want to make that person happy. If you are happy in yourself first, you can't have a healthy, functioning relationship, that you can't have the one you truly, truly desire until you can love and accept yourself fully. Because only when you have that, and it's hard to say, but only when you have that, only when you can have that sense of peace and love and respect for yourself, are you now in the position to understand how you have to make your partner feel. Now you can understand that you need to treat your partner the way you now treat yourself, with love and respect and appreciation and support, so that when you do have those difficult times, whether it's an argument or a fight, or hopefully not, but even something where they're upset or something traumatic has happened, that you can approach that situation going, right, what do they need? How do I support you? And if you're not sure, go, how would I want to be treated and supported in this moment? And you can start from that place, and then you can find out if that works for them, and then maybe they can go, okay, I don't need that, I need this. But at least you're trying, and you're doing it, and you're showing up. Show up for yourself first, and the world will take notice. And then you can start showing up for other people. But don't subjugate yourself for other people because you think that's what's going to gain you merit. That's what's going to gain you love and favor and validation. People will view you as a resource rather than a person. People will view you as a resource to be tapped until you are entirely drained. You become the equivalent of gold or uranium or iron ore. You will just be mined and mined and mined until you are empty, and then you will be discarded. And it won't even be done intentionally, consciously by these people. They will just go, oh, that's how Charlie is, or that's how Emily is, or that's how Brian is. You know, he's always there, she's always there, giving and showing up and everything. So if they needed something, they'd tell me. They're not thinking about you to the same level that you are thinking about you. They're going through the same shit that you're going through. So they are caught up in their own shit, not thinking about, oh fuck, maybe Brian actually needs some help. So do it for yourself first. Love yourself first. And don't be afraid to speak up for what you need. But don't be afraid to speak up for how you feel when the time comes. You've got to stand for something. And that comes from self-love and acceptance first. Okay? Guys, this is long. I'm going to have to try and condense it all. But you know, just quickly to finish, what do we got? Yeah, okay. Quickly to finish, I was talking to my girlfriend this morning, actually. And we were talking about what 2020 has brought us so far. You know, there's obviously a lot of memes, a lot of talk of like, oh my God, this is the worst year of this millennium, and, you know, worst thing to happen in ages. And yes, it's a very scary time. We've got, you know, worldwide pandemic. We've got first world nations on fire. We've got other horrible injustices happening every single day. It's hard in these times to feel optimistic about things. And she sort of said, you know, like, I can't remember exactly, I'm paraphrasing here, but, you know, she said, I mean, God, there's just so many bad things happening. Like, what's a positive to even come out of this year? And I kind of said, it's going to be interesting when we get to the end of the year, looking back, what will happen in these next 6 months? It's June 2nd today. I don't know. But I sort of said, I think there have been some positives to come out of this year so far. And I just want to leave this on a positive note too, because, yeah, it's very easy to get bogged down in the news and the negatives every single day. But we are seeing, you know, in amongst all this, the environment is getting healthier. Carbon emissions and CO2 and greenhouse gas emissions are down, you know, a large number. Yes, they may increase again, but they're down right now. The hole in the ozone layer is healing. You know, pollution levels are down worldwide. We're seeing people come together and support each other and fight each other and fight for each other and actually kind of work as a society in amongst these pandemics. You know, people are staying inside. They're, you know, reaching out. They're going, how can I help you? How can I help you? Even with these protests in America at the moment, this tragedy has happened, and yet we are seeing millions of people turn out and be like, this is not okay. We will not stand for this anymore. We're seeing celebrities and politicians and everyday people and essential workers stand up and go, and even police officers, you know, go, hey, we can't operate this way anymore. We need change. There are positives. You just have to be willing to look at them. Alright guys, thank you very much. If you've got any questions, send them away. Put them in the comment section or DM me on the Instagram, or I don't really know how this works either. So we're figuring it out together. But if you've got suggestions for something you'd like to see me talk about, please, by all means, send them in. If you've got, I don't know, questions about something I've said in this video, please, by all means, fire away. I will endeavor to get back to everyone, and I think I'll be able to get back to everyone. So, I don't know. But yeah, guys, let's keep having the conversation and, you know, keep being there for one another and kind of create a community we can be proud of. Alright guys, thank you. Thank you very much. Stay safe, and peace and love.